I'm letting people in. Hello, everyone. Really exciting day today because we've got Forrest Wolverton, who is amazing from Apex Writer. I would talk more, but I'd be too much fangirling. So I'm going to hand it over to Forrest himself and he can do his own introduction because he's here. Right. And yes, won't fangirl anymore.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm going to go ahead and start my share screen and I will get into my introduction. Cool. So, okay, welcome to this session. My name is Forrest Wolverton, and I'm with the apexwriters.com. My father was David Farland, and Dave Wolverton, who was a world-class author and writer and a teacher to many in this industry for many years. Um, and I've had the pleasure for the past 10 years of my career as a coach and someone who's been in the personal growth and development space, and someone who's been in the also owning therapy, different therapeutic businesses, and working with therapists and psychologists and coaches from around the world. We've really developed a love and a passion of applying the personal growth and development to writers and helping writers step into their full power, their full identity, and how to actually step into these creative flows and how to really dissolve all the issues with writer's blocks and all the different variations and means and methods that go into that. The views I take are going to be very pragmatic in approach. They're going to be very pragmatic for you to be able to implement and to be able to, by the end of this session, I would expect that if you're here for this and if there's something that you're looking to get, there's going to be some amazing content. And I've delivered this with my Apex Writers group. I've been working with Apex Writers for 5 years since my father created it, and I present every single week. And I bring everything in from the psychology realm, neuroscience realm, and all the other metaphysics and everything else. And I bring that and I deliver that weekly to Apex. And I work on developing processes, how to set goals, outcomes. And so this is my jam. This is where I live. And I love helping people dissolve the blocks that they believe and the stories that they've been holding on to that are holding them back from really being able to step all in and being able to step in and be the author that they want to be and being able to create the stories and the types of stories that they've been yearning for and looking for. So with all of that, so here's just a little bit about me, just so you have a little bit of background. So I live in St. George, Utah. I have my wife and two boys. We're very happy here. I love Japan and I speak Japanese. I served the LDS mission there. I love all things change psychology, neurology, and biology. I've been in the personal development, been in personal development coaching for over 10 years. I've been trained in 7+ modalities of change, plus other different therapies and different models. And I've been able to analyze these models and take what works and being able to distill those down. I study and I apply nonstop. I've owned and operated a mental health treatment center. I love all things philosophy, esoteric, and metaphysics. I'm an absolute nerd, and I laugh at my own punny jokes all the time. So my wife will tell you that, yeah, I love to laugh at my own jokes. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. And I don't want to focus too much about me. I want to focus on the group, and I want to focus on why you guys are here. I want to focus on what's brought you to the aspects of writing and what you're really here to get. So that's just a little bit about me. So now your mind can take that out, put it away, and just begin to forget about what I'm saying and who I am, and focus on what you're here for and what you're here really true to experience. So setting some outcomes and intentions for today and for this session. So how many of you would like to, and you can like raise your hand in your mind, you can raise it out loud, you can acknowledge if any of these resonate with you or if any of these feel true for you. How would you like to be able to, on command, go into your most powerful and resourceful flow states? Does that appeal to anybody? Would anybody like to be able to do that, like consistently on command, be able to actually get in there and have some real physical mechanics that I'm going to be able to teach you? Yeah, this is going to be useful. Yeah, awesome. And we'll teach you some of the mechanics of creativity and whole brain activation and being able to step into that to be able to utilize your full system for that. of you would like to be able to move through any perception of blocks and utilize whole brain and body creativity to be able to access those resourceful states? Yeah, perfect. And how many of you would like to help your body and mind heal at a quicker and more effective pace and manner? So we're not just talking about creativity, but we're talking about actually your nervous system and how your body actually heals and tapping into that its innate nature and ability to do what it needs to do. And we're going to talk about that. Who would you like to become more relaxed and confident in your own creative nature? If we could begin to annihilate all the things like, oh, I'm not creative, or all this, whatever else it is, whatever story's causing some tension in my system, being able to completely dissolve those stories and really tap into your own creative nature and have that confidence in it. Tap into your own innate nature to change, grow, and adapt. So I believe that is part of our own innate internal nature, and I'm going to teach you how to tap into that today as well. And free your mind and your neurology from old, stuck, rut, and blocked paradigms. And we're going to cover all of that going beyond those stories today, and why it's even possible that we can even claim this and achieve this. Cool. So this is a question. I want you to just sit back and I want you to just like answer this. I want you to answer this for yourself. This is me getting permission from you. This is me getting permission from you to be able to engage in taking some new perspectives and being able to take in some new ideas and concepts and actually allowing these changes to take place. So as I ask these questions, I want you to just notice inside of you if this is a yes, and just start noticing. If there's ever a no, you just take a breath into it, you just breathe, you relax. Your system is going to deliver you a series of responses based on your conditioning. And what we're looking for is to be able to get your buy-in, and that it's totally okay with you that we have a new experience that's outside of our normal experience. So my question is anyone or any part of you truly opposed to experiencing deeper levels of security and safety within themselves? Would you be okay with experiencing that? Would you be okay with deeper levels of satisfaction with your craft? Would you be okay with deeper levels of relaxation in your body? Would you be okay with experiencing deeper levels of feeling like you can take a breath? Like you can finally breathe, When it feels good to take a breath, yeah? It feels really good to take a breath. Deeper levels of excited motivation. Is any part of you truly opposed to experiencing deeper and more immersive writing sessions? I would think not. Is anyone or any part of you truly opposed to experiencing some deeper levels of certainty, clarity, and peace? Is anyone or any part of you truly opposed to experiencing deeper drive and excitement for setting and achieving your conscious goals, not just your unconscious goals, but your conscious goals? And is anyone or any part of you truly opposed to experiencing being able to change through deep relaxation? What if you didn't have to knock your head against the wall to change? What if you didn't have to fight against it anymore? You could just relax and allow, which is the natural way of your system. And what if you could experience the magic and blissfulness of change? So I want you to take stock of what happened inside your body and notice if there was any part of you that said no to that. If there's anything inside your internal system, and just notice it, and you don't actually have to do anything with it. You just want to notice it. We're just asking you to increase your consciousness and awareness as we get into what we're going to be diving into today. And here comes the fun stuff. I'm a huge Matrix fan. So like Alice, let's see how far down this rabbit hole goes. Yeah. So if you're on for the ride and it feels good and you're really willing to go into this today and you're willing to experience yourself in another way, in another level, then let's go down together and let's see how far down this rabbit hole goes together. And we're going to be giving you some concrete experiences, and we're going to be doing some exercises. So I want to teach you, early days, I studied accelerated learning. And we studied a lot of the different processes and things that were out there for accelerated learning styles. And this is what we came down to and distilled into some of the most important things that you can do at the beginning of any session. So like even like with me, like doing this right now, these are going to be keys to accelerating your learning through this session. And if you take these principles to everything that you with your group, your writing group, every session that you come into, this is a new way of coming to a session that is going to, it's like opening a trap door to your mind and allowing the information to actually flow through you and actually allowing you to integrate it in real time. And if you take these principles will absolutely accelerate how quickly you gather information and how much you're actually able to apply that information. So three keys to the if you want to get the most out of our time today, here are the three keys to facilitate accelerated learning for all of us. And then right after this, I'm going to take you into a 5 to 10 minute meditation with this, where we help really sit in this, and I help you get into those feelings and install this as a state for learning. And these are normal and natural states that all humans go into. So it's not something that's outside that you can't do. It's completely doable. So the three keys. One is breathing deep, full, and slow. You're going to go in through the nose and you're going to go out through the nose. Okay. Breath is the mechanism that tells our body it's safe and time to relax. This was a really powerful learning. I used to avoid breath work. I used to avoid breathing. In fact, one of my mentors at one point said, and it was absolutely brilliant when he said it, because I was absolutely blown away. He said, Forrest, what is the number one thing that humans are the best at doing? And I said, I don't know, what is it? And he's like, it's running away from our emotions and sidestepping our own experience and trying to deny our own internal experience. He said, you know what happens when you do that? I said, no. He's like, you hold your breath. He's like, actually, most of the world and most of the Western world hasn't learned to breathe deep and full and slow. And when you do, because your breath is the one mechanism that you do have control over, you do have conscious control over, and you can, at any moment in time, you can assert your conscious dominance through your left prefrontal cortex. You can assert your dominance and you say, nope, it's time to breathe deeper and slower. When we go into traumatized breath or other traumatic breaths, a lot of times we'll breathe from the top of the lungs, like, and we're breathing up here, and that actually works us into a more panic state. So hyperventilating breaths and those types of breaths increase whatever state we're going into, and we can work ourselves up into a more stressed state if we don't take time to breathe. And funny enough, I always tell, we work with my two little boys a lot to breathe deep and slow, because when you're a little kid, your emotions, they go up and down. They go up and down like wild. One moment a kid is doing okay, and then all of a sudden you take something, or you tell them no, or you do something, and then the whole kid, his nervous system erupts with emotion, and they have anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, whatever it is, because they're perceiving some sort of loss, or some sense of autonomy has been taken from them. And the way to calm your nervous system down is actually by breathing in deep, full diaphragmatic breaths. And if you're sitting in your seat, you can even get into a little bit better of a position. If you actually breathe in fully and feel your breath for just a moment, breathe in and breathe in fully to your diaphragm and your stomach, and breathe fully in, and just notice how much of your lung capacity you're probably not using on a day-to-day basis. If you practice breath work, then you may be like utilizing it a lot more. But a lot of us don't do that. And when you breathe in deeply, and you breathe in through your body and through your belly, it actually sends a signal to your sympathetic nervous system to calm down and to actually come back from the high wired state where you were back into a sense of safety. And a lot of people that don't feel safe in the world never actually got through a process once the tension came up, that they actually breathe deeply enough and through the whole experience and through the memory of the experience, that you're still telling, with every deep breath, you're telling your body it's safe, it's time to relax, it's safe, it's time to relax. And that matters because creativity is about blood flow, and it's about whole brain activity. And when you go into a sympathetic stress state, all blocks that we perceive are blocks are going to be attached to some sort of stress response in my nervous system. And so the key to being able to move through that is going to be learning to repattern my breath deep and full. When you do that, your blood flow goes back from your arms and your legs, which was going to be used to run or fight or flight or do something in your experience. and it's going to move that blood flow back so it goes back into your gut, it goes back into your heart, it goes back into your brain, and it allows your other systems to come back online. And the system that comes back online, that for everyone 100% of the time is going to be safe, love, peace, a sense of neutrality, a sense of isness, a sense of calmness. And it's kind of like a cool mountain meadow that has a beautiful glassy lake and there's no wind. And when you breathe deeply, it's like the breathing deeply, eventually all the waves and ripples that were created just seem to peter out. So breathing is one of the most important mechanisms if you're going to step into your full ability to be creative, because it's not saying you can't be creative and have stress. But if you want your body to get more blood flow, you want your brain to get more blood flow, and you want your body to be able to access deeper realms of creativity, we're going to have to learn how to breathe deeply and repattern that. So that will get the maximum amount of blood flow to your brain and whole brain activity. So your whole brain can work on the problem, not just your sympathetic stress response nervous system, which causes a lot of issues. If you're trying to use that system long-term, that's what produces burnout. Burnout is simply a prolonged stress response, and when we don't get our body back into a full parasympathetic mode and we're living in that, that's when we build a real dissonance and a sense of stuckness with it. The second key to this is peripheral vision, and they also call it soft gazing. I learned this one from the Hawaiian tradition of huna. And one of my mentors, they talked about peripheral vision, but peripheral vision has been known by every martial artist. I'm also a martial artist. I love martial arts. I love Bruce Lee. Big into that world. And everyone knows that when you actually go into the zone, you actually enter a different part of your nervous system. So you have something called foveal vision, which is like if I'm looking down at my phone and my eyes constrict and I look strictly at my phone, everything in my body like focuses on the phone gets clear, but everything around the phone gets blurry. Yeah. So foveal vision is when I'm focusing on an object or a thing, or unconsciously a problem, because I could be focused on something externally, but I can also be focused on something internally. So when my brain starts to go in and I was identifying something, it constricts. There's a constriction of my perception, and all I can see is the problem, or all I can see is the thing that I'm focusing on. Now that's useful. It's a useful survival mechanism. The opposite of the foveal vision is peripheral vision, where your eyes relax, your muscles relax. And rather than looking at one thing, your whole vision opens up and you see everything. And in fact, if you were to do just a quick test of this, I want you to sit back and relax. If you're looking at your computer screen, you've got your computer screen. I want you to just notice, take your head, put it upright, and take your eyes and put it up above eye level. And I want you to take both your fingers, because it's easier with your fingers because you'll have something to see and focus on. But if you put your fingers in front of you and you're not focusing on either finger, you're actually opening up your vision so you can see both fingers simultaneously. And then while you do that, I just want you to sit and breathe for just a moment. But notice what happens if you move the fingers away. I'm not focused on the fingers. I still see them. I see the left and right. And anytime I move one, I can still see it moving in my peripheral. And this is the state of peripheral vision and soft gaze. They teach this in martial arts. They teach this in sports. This is where the zone is when you're not focused on anything, but you're taking in the full surroundings. It opens up a space in your neurology, which is an expanded awareness state. And when we open up this state and we go into expanded awareness plus breathing, we can take any other set of neurology or any other set of things that's going on in our life, and we can replay it and we can integrate it into this state that is both calm, it's focused. It also allows for the disillusionment or the process of integrating other neurological wiring in your brain, which is where those perceptions are stored. Because we're never actually really blocked. We only have a perception and a story that we're blocked, and we're in the story. So we can't see outside the story that the story isn't necessarily inherently true. And that may not make a whole lot of sense until I explain a few other things, but just know that when you're going through this, as you open up your vision and go into expanded awareness state, and you're taking a state that is foveal in nature and collapsing it into an expanded state, the system resources back to your most the most dominant state, which is peripheral vision and being grounded, focused, present in awareness. So breathing deep and slow and peripheral vision are two mind hacks that you can mechanically do that is only dependent on your willingness to choose them and then to follow through and do them. These are two mechanics that are extremely powerful that I would not underestimate the power of these things in repatterning yourself and repatterning your life. And there's a lot of modalities, including EMDR and other modalities that take the vision and take how this stuff works, as well as breathing deep and full, in order to regulate your nervous system and help your nervous system close out old loops, close out old stories, old emotions that are kind of hung up in this process and preventing me from being able to fully focus on my creativity and the work that I want to do. Cool. So that was a lot. So yeah, contracted focus neurology can rewire into expanded focus neurology, and that collapses the state. I'm going to teach you how to do that. So the third thing is choose to be open to new perspectives. And this one I would like to have you say out loud, because there's power in your voice. When we get into a stress response, it can actually shut down different parts of our brain. Shut down. They go dormant while the sympathetic nervous system's activated, and it impacts our ability to speak, which is why people can get choked up when they're having a lot of emotions, because it shuts down those vocal centers of the brain. So if you say this out loud and you practice saying it and feeling it in your body, it will open up to being able to actually do it. So being able to say it is very critical. So just simply say to yourself out loud, I now choose to be open to new perspectives. And just do that 2 more times on your own. Well, I now choose to be open to new perspectives. I now choose to be open to new perspectives. Because even if you weren't in the past, that doesn't really matter. What you're choosing to do is you're choosing to do it now. And that's the most important thing. Cool. So, okay. So right now we're going to go into this exercise where I'm going to take you for the next 5 or so minutes, and I'm going to have you go into breathing deep and breathing slow, doing peripheral vision. And then I'm going to have you, and you're just going to notice that. I may give you some suggestions after a few minutes. You can even close your eyes. After you really get the sensation of what it's like to be in peripheral vision and your muscles are relaxing, I want you to relax into it and just be relaxed. Allow your body to move if it wants to move. Allow your body to feel and just do whatever it wants to do. But you can notice how you can keep your visual peripheral vision open while maintaining and being here in this training and in this circumstance. And if you hold that state, we're going to build on that with other exercises. So it will get easier and easier and easier until it's second nature. Okay, cool. So in order to do this, I'm going to put on a little bit of sound. So if with what you'd like to do, if you'd like to just go ahead and sit back in your chair and get comfortable, I'm going to turn on a little bit of music. And you're going to hear my voice over the music. And I'm going to guide you through opening up your peripheral vision again. I'm going to guide you through breathing deeply and breathe deeply together. And as we sync our breath together and we breathe deeply together, at some point, I'll probably ask you can close your eyes if that feels comfortable and feels good for you. And there may be some setting of intentions or becoming aware of something else, but it'll be light, it'll be easy, and it'll be really, really fun. Cool. So let me know if you can hear this okay. Can everybody hear this? No? Let's see. Okay. Let's see if I stop share. Do I need to show this sound? Oh, there it is. Yeah, share sound. All right. Here we go. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is just go ahead and sit back, and wherever you're at wherever you're sitting, wherever you are, just get really comfortable. And I want you to notice, take yourself and have your head sitting at just chin level, so it's just nice and straight. And go ahead and take your eyes and gaze up, just slightly up above eye level. If there's a point you can focus on, that's perfect. If there's something else if there's something in that awareness, an item, an object, you can look at it. And And what I want you to do is you look at that object and you look at that point up above eye level or over on a wall or behind you. I want you to begin to open up your peripheral vision. And I want you to take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Hold at the peak for just a moment and let it out. Bonus points if you let out a huge sigh or you let out a yawn. Bonus points if you do that. So just go ahead and take another deep breath in, nice and slow, in through the nose. And out through the mouth. And just go ahead and continue to breathe here for a moment. There's really nothing for you to do except hold the peripheral vision open and just tell your body it's okay, it's time to relax, it's time to relax. And just take another deep breath in. All the way in, hold at the top. And breathe out. And I want you to notice how your body begins to fill with each breath. So your awareness is here, you're seeing your visual. As your awareness goes into your visual, notice how that feels. And as your awareness begins to continue to expand around you, just allow it, just imagine that your consciousness continues to expand infinitely in all directions, all around you, 360 degrees. Just imagine that your awareness could do such a thing. And just take a deep breath in. And out. And just notice how this feels and relax into it. If there's any tight muscles or any twitching or anything else going on, just relax into it. Everything's perfect. And breathe that out. And I want you to feel, it's kind of like, I'll hold my hand up. If you're tightening a fist, and you're like squeezing your fist over and over and over again, you're beginning to pump blood to your muscles, you're beginning to feel some tension, some tightness as you're pumping your fist. And if you're like really squeezing your fist and all of a sudden you're squeezing your fist, squeeze, and all of a sudden you just allowed your fist and you said relax, and you allowed your muscles to relax and just let go. And you just let your body rest and relax. The feeling of relaxation is like your muscles finally letting go. And you're giving them the command to relax. You're allowing them to relax deeper and deeper into this peripheral vision state. You're allowing yourself and your consciousness to sit a little bit deeper in your body. Perfect. What I'd like you to do, if this feels good now, and if you feel like you've got a good grasp of, okay, this is how it feels to relax my eyes, this is how it feels to be in peripheral vision, then feel free to go ahead and for a moment, just feel free to close your eyes, but keep your eyes still relaxed and stay in foveal vision even though your eyes are closed. Just notice how your body feels as it goes into this expanded state. You may have sensations in your body, your feet, the rest of your body, your muscles, your hands. You may begin to notice what it feels like the more you breathe in and breathe out. The more that you can become relaxed and you can just hold that peripheral vision, that peripheral gaze, the easier it is to allow information to flow through you without resistance. It's easier for information, ideas, concepts, because you can notice everything going on inside your head, but you can also notice the outside world around you. You can see where you are in this physical reality. You can see that you're here. You can see that you have hands. You can see that you have this body. And I want you to take a minute and just notice if you're relaxed and you're going into this. I want you to notice any of the ideas and concepts that I may be blocked. Can you see anything around you that is the physical evidence that that is the truth? It's kind of like, can I really pet it like a cat? Is it tangible? Is there really something in my reality? Is it written on the stars? Is it written in the sun? Is it written in the sky? Is it written on the trees? Is there something in my reality that is the evidence that says I'm truly and completely stuck or blocked? Is there some sort of physical evidence? Like, is it written on my hand? Is it written on my DNA? Is it written anywhere that you are blocked now and forever. And just notice that you can't actually see it. I want you to acknowledge you can't actually see physical evidence in this world. Even if you're like, well, my manuscript's not written. Well, that's just showing that you're learning to get into a state that works and flows. That's all that is. It doesn't mean you're truly stuck or blocked. It doesn't mean there's no way out. It doesn't mean there's really anything that would prevent you from getting out if you simply had been shown the way to move yourself to a new destination. So as you relax into this state, this grounded state, and you notice that you can't actually see all these things in the world around you. You just notice it's the thoughts in your heads that arises, but as you see through it, you can see that there's a story in your head, and you may have pictures and sounds and feelings, but you can see through it. It's like it's all transparent. It's here, but it's not out there. And you begin to notice that there's really nothing going on out there. All the action is right here. All the action is right here in this head, in this body, in this physical form. That's where all the action is. That's where all the drama is. That's where all the stuff is. It's not out there. It's actually in here. I just want you to take a moment and just notice that. Notice you can't actually see those things. You can't even see beliefs. Beliefs are interpretations of reality. It's not necessarily that you see them, but we interpret them. And so I just want you to just take a moment and just notice how that feels, to acknowledge that. Perfect. All right. And that was the exercise, and we're done with that. Now what I'd like you to do is allow your consciousness, thank yourself for participating in this and noticing how that felt. I want you to bring your awareness back, and you can actually bring your head and you can begin to look at the computer again, and you can begin to look down here. Feel free to open up your eyes and take a deep breath in and blow out. Perfect. Cool. So as you come back to now, I want to just take a moment for anyone, if there was any questions on that portion as we get into it. I know I covered a lot of stuff and a lot of information just in that, and there's a lot more ground to cover too. Was anybody able to have an experience? And you can even write in the chat. Did you have an experience? Did anything feel like it calmed down for you? Was there any sense of calming down with the breathing? Was there any sense of going into that state for you?
So we've got a fantastic question from Ruben, but we've got M saying, yes, it did expand. And we've got Keely saying, yeah, I expanded in all directions. And Ruben's asked this fantastic question. Why is it important to widen your perception?
Yeah, that's actually a beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. So it's important to widen our perception, and especially when it comes to this, because our mind, even though the thing may not be out there in the world, our mind can lock in on a target and focus on what we call as a problem. And the thing is that a problem will never be solved by going into the problem. The problem will be solved by looking around you and looking in a new direction for what the actual solution is. And it's kind of like, here's a metaphor for it, is like if you were walking on a path one day and you saw this gigantic hole in the ground, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a gigantic hole in the ground. And all you can see in your world is there's just this gigantic hole in the ground. Your mind will begin to focus in and laser on there's a hole in the ground, and it repeats, there's a hole in the ground, there's a hole in the ground. And it will go into this whole thing until you expand your vision and you look beyond and realize, oh wait, the hole in the ground isn't a problem, because I could walk around the hole in the ground, I could build something, go over it, I could do something else. But I've got to be able to move away from the object of what I call as a problem, and I've got to expand my awareness and being able to move into a new direction. And one of the studies that they did with drivers that were that would go off the road and they're about to hit a tree, if the driver focused on the tree, their body went towards the tree. If they were able to move their focus to the direction they wanted to go, and being like, well, I don't want to be stuck, but I want to go somewhere else, and I got a new direction I want to go. They had to see the direction, and when they could see the direction, their body would naturally follow. So the way that your body works also with blocks is that when you widen your vision and you collapse the old limited perspective and are able to like move beyond it, what happens is you actually just build up new neurology because it's just a neurological problem. All blocks are neurological blocks. Blocks aren't really necessarily, real per se, because once you've learned your way through them, or you've learned what the solution is, like what you were missing or what the kind of feedback you were getting, then you never really have the same problem twice. You're just building off of it. I hope that made sense. Cool.
It was fabulous from and thank you for asking that, Ruben. We've got Pippa saying here, I love what you said, that we're not necessarily blocked, we're all learning and just need to be shown a new way or a new way round, which is absolutely fantastic. And Sarah Thomas said, yes, I've never thought about peripheral vision with eyes closed. Super effective for me. Thank you. And Amy said, I'm curious as to how this meditation exercise with creative flowing overcoming writer's block.
Yeah, yep. And we will dive more into that. And that is what is coming up next.
And so that it seems like a good method to me. I think you might be right there, Ruben. It seems great. Absolutely fabulous. Although the breathing deeply in the peripheral vision for me, I have to say, was a bit like rubbing my tummy and tapping my head. To get into that took a bit of practice. I was like, oh, but remember to breathe deeply, because I could get one, but not the other at the same time when I started. So it's okay if everyone else flew it. For me, it took a little bit of effort to get into that zone.
It does. It does. And for many people, it's new. One way to get easier into peripheral vision, so I want you to just imagine, so if you were to like take yourself, it's really easy because we do this naturally. It's a total natural occurring state. But I want you to imagine you took yourself to the top of a mountain and you're taking in the massive, gigantic view. There's nothing to focus on, but you're literally at the top of the mountain and you're looking over the expanse. Your eyes will naturally widen. Your eyes will naturally expand. You'll naturally go into peripheral vision. That's one scenario where people naturally go into peripheral vision. When looking at a huge scape, we naturally go into that state. The second thing is if you love hiking, you love outdoors, you love to go into those spaces. One of the natural responses that's wired into our nervous system is that when we see something beautiful like flowers or trees and the forest and nature, we'll naturally begin to expand our peripheral vision naturally, and we'll begin to take a deep breath in because we want to breathe in that fresh oxygen. There's something that triggers in our body that causes that expansion, and so we do this normally and naturally. So those are a few experiences if you can tap into, it might make it a little bit easier. Yeah, go ahead. What was the question? Cool. So there's natural occurring experiences, and if you can remember those experiences while you do these meditations, sometimes that will feel a little bit more natural. If you can recall a time when you've naturally gone into them, that can make it easier. Cool. All right, let's keep going. Cool. So the nature of the perception of being blocked. To understand this nature, we must take a look at our own human biology, physiology, and neurology. Our experience is expressed and made of our five senses. We acquire, process, interpret, and interpret the information in order to respond. So everything that you experience in your life comes through your mechanical, your body, your actual senses, your visual sense, your auditory sense, your kinesthetic, and then you have olfactory and gustatory. So many times that when people are experiencing, when there's a block in any system, it could be a visual block, an auditory block, a kinesthetic block, or olfactory or gustatory, based on like however they're operating, however they're working. Like inside of our mind with our experiences, if we can't see where we need to go or what we need to do next, if we can't see, because seeing is one of our main senses, like we all use it every day, even people that say they're less visual, you got to realize being visual is normal and natural. Being auditory is normal and natural. And we use all of our senses. We're not just one of them. We have all of them. And then our kinesthetic sense, which gives us the sensation to either move away from something or to go into something based on which nervous system is being activated. So recognizing this, we can actually, as you go and do these meditations, you can recognize, do I have the bigger picture? Is there something that I'm telling myself, or did I hear something in my past, or some sort of story that has essentially made its way that I've unconsciously accepted into my nervous system, that I now unconsciously believe that I need to shift and rewrite that story. The kinesthetic sense, and many times as these blocks get cemented, what our body does is it overlaps the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, and then it makes it feel like the belief or the block is as if reality. Because a lot of times people associate what's real with their feelings in their body, but your body is just creating sensations. There's no sensation that means I'm not worthy. There's no sensation in your body that means I'm not worthy. There's no sensation in your body that inherently means any word that has ever been created in the English language, the Japanese language, the Chinese language, whatever language you want to make. But we build through language these constructs with our senses, and we start to overlap our experience with a story and with language, which then becomes these commands to our nervous system of, this is what reality is, this is how it feels, this is how it doesn't feel. And then there will be times like, well, this doesn't feel real. How does your body know what feels real and doesn't feel real? Which sensation is the hardwired sensation that says this is real, this isn't real? Like, so there's things with our body that, like, when we interpret our sensations, what we're interpreting is we're having sensations, typically stress responses, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, or other stress responses that we've labeled in our nervous system. And that's what we're experiencing. We're not actually experiencing language or beliefs or other things like that, but we're experiencing the sensations that have been attached to those things. That's what we're experiencing. Because, someone says, I'm not worthy. Well, not worthy isn't a belief. I know that it's a belief, but it doesn't really exist. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. It doesn't have anything like that. So the thing is what we're sensing is, I have a stress response that got linked to a story internally with my experience, and the story and the experience get linked together, and then I mistaken my sensation for the story itself. And I begin to believe that I have a feeling that means I'm not worthy. But it's, if you lived in a culture where the word worthy never existed, you would never even ask the question if you're worthy or if you're loved or whatever thing. It's just, if the language didn't exist, you wouldn't even have the ability to comprehend what that thing was. So the language is very, very critical as we pair it with our experience that creates this scaffolding nature, which either wires in blocks or wires us to step into greater flows and greater creativity. So I want to say a tale of two nervous systems. So once upon a time, there were two nervous systems. Our main default nervous system was our parasympathetic system. It was relaxed, peaceful, blood flowed with ease to our brain. We tapped into creativity, love, play, and we enjoyed the world through a lens of curiosity, passion, and higher states of positive emotions. It was also when we felt magnetized and pulled towards our desires. So our parasympathetic nervous system has access to these emotions. And our other nervous system, which is our sympathetic nervous system, was used to crank up a tense awareness or attention or awareness outside of ourselves if the perception of quick movement or loud noise was present. So quick movements and loud noises are hardwired into your nervous system to become aware of. And our awareness could perk up in the case of real or perceived danger, and all of our anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame, and named emotions that we've created were a part of this dynamic stress response to repel, destroy, slow down, and respond to situations. Yeah. So this was one of my big contributions to some huge therapist groups was teaching people the difference between the system that is parasympathetic is your baseline system. And that's where rest and digest comes into play. That's also where your body actually gets to heal and gets to go through autophagy and gets to go through a cleansing and healing cycle. And most people have lived with just their sympathetic nervous system on so long that many times we don't get back into that state deep enough where our body actually has the ability to heal itself and actually do its reconstruction the way that it needs, because we're always moving blood flow and we're always tense and we're always fighting and we're always doing something in our awareness. And the way that our world has kind of crafted that with our culture doesn't really support us. in having a normally relaxed nature, unless we super condition it for ourselves and we step into that. Cool. We all contain within us the innate ability to connect either system to all persons, places, and things. We can connect either system, our parasympathetic or our sympathetic. We can connect all of those systems to all persons, places, or things, all concepts and ideas, all words and all language, all experiences, and all sensory specific experience that includes VAKOG, all the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. And once connected to either system, these become triggers that our body will respond to in a push-pull type fashion. So this is why when we get blocked and we've associated some sort of stress or some sort of like sensation of stress towards the block, we're actually pulling away from it. Even if we're trying to fight into it, when we have our stress response nervous system activated, we're always in a push-pull relationship, and we're typically trying to pull away from the thing, even if we want to do it. Then that's what makes it stressful, is people are like, no, I really want to do this, but I've got so much wired sympathetic nervous system stuff to this that I'm not able to really just relax into it and move through it. And that's what makes things hard. When people say the word hard, nothing is truly hard. Like rocks are hard. What they're talking about is, does my nervous system flow freely? Am I relaxed? And can I do this with a cohesiveness and a coherence that allows me to simply relax into it and flow? But when things become hard, our bodies become rigid and stiff, and it becomes challenging to move through and get those things done. And that's based on a lot of our conditioning in our family and our early years of development, which is all 100% changeable. Everything is changeable. Everything can adapt. Everything can shift. That's the beauty of being human. Okay. Yeah. 11:47. Okay. So moving on from the nervous system, I want to bring in another dimension. Another dimension of the role of the storyteller part of you. So the research around IFS, which is called internal family systems therapy, and neuroscience show that there is a portion of your brain dedicated to organizing experience and the sequence of events into a story that makes sense according to the model of the world you've unconsciously adopted. We then recite and rehearse these stories that then become wired into our physiology and feel as they are if reality itself. And our subconscious mind then takes these suggestions and repeat them in the looping pattern that looping patterns at the level of our neurological wiring. So when a lot of people are going through loops and their brain's like, I'm in a loop, like, why do I keep looping through this thing and I can't get out? Like, that is literally a set of neurology that's disconnected from it's not disconnected, but it's not resourced enough. The word is resourced into the rest of your neurology that it has an out. So that's why people stay in blocks so long, is because their mind's repeating and looping, and they're not actually getting an integrative approach to actually get through the loop, to expand through the story, and to then have an out. It's a neurological wiring issue. So there's a part of your brain that's literally an inside of you, if you actually allow yourself and admit it. This is what I love about authors, is that they know they have a storytelling part of them. They know that there's an author inside of them. They know that there's this creator. And when you allow yourself to step into that space of I am the author, you also are able to take advantage of, how do I want to, what's the old story I'm currently telling myself, and what's the new story that I want to bring in and I want to adopt and I want to take with me. And it's one of the most important elements of your neurology and your biology that connects all the pieces and puts them all together in a cohesive way. So the part of you that is an author and a storyteller is extremely, extremely important. And it is a beautiful gift, a beautiful gift. So Bruce, one of these Bruce Lee quotes I really like, fighting your body and your stories is pointless. Breathe into them. And as he says, empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. If you put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash, be water. Well, most of our body is actually water, and our body is actually hydrated, and most of our body is water, which is why we have a lot of metaphors around water and flowing that go through our culture. And when if we realize that if we're fighting ourselves, or if I've got beliefs that I self-sabotage myself and all this other stuff, if I have those beliefs, I'm hallucinating a situation where I'm fighting against myself. But the thing is, there's nobody out here that's really fighting me. It's just this internal hallucination that I'm fighting myself. And the thing is you can't actually really fight yourself. It doesn't really work. Like, or if you're trying to fight yourself internally, it doesn't really work. But trying to stop fighting yourself simply has to be a level of there's nothing to fight outside of you. So all you got to do is breathe and relax into it and allow yourself to come to peace with whatever, is going on internally. And that's a really boiled down version of a topic I could go into for days, but and especially working with different parts and dynamics of a human being. But we can integrate all of our experience. We can integrate it back into an expanded, calm, and relaxed awareness. All nervous system sensations, feelings, emotions, triggers, patterns, beliefs, values, stories can be repatterned easily, or more easily, when we actually go into the states that allow us to do it. When we go deeply into our breath, peripheral vision, accept the old stories, and go beyond the old stories into the new story, we open up the doorway and the pathway that's going to lead to your salvation. And you're the one who opened the door. You're the one who chooses to open the door. You're the one who chooses to step into a new way of being and step into this new way of doing things. So what does this mean for me? Well, what if I could wire myself for relaxed, passionate, loving the process of setting and achieving goals? What if I could go out and rewrite the code of my internal workings where stress and pain got into the process of setting and achieving goals? So if I ever had stress with setting and achieving goals, like part of like even the learning process, what if I had like in the learning process, what if your parents weren't very nice to you and people weren't patient with you as you're young, and now you're always rushed and impatient, and you never really just had a moment to actually like you wired so much stress into this process that you need to alleviate it and get out of it. Yeah. So am I wired for doubt, pain, resistance, and despair? That's another one. Huge family burdens that come along with that. If your parents had a lot of pain, doubt, resistance, a lot of those patterns we pick up on and we start to actually wire ourselves for. And are these patterns really even mine? The answer is typically no. They're typically your parents and the people around you that we've adopted. Monkey see, monkey do. It's possible that you learn from your caretakers how they're treated during their learning process and it had nothing to do with you. So here are some, we call these quantum questions for going beyond. These are just a few examples, and you can go even deeper into this. But if you go into this and you ask yourself truly the question, I want you to just notice what happens when you ask yourself the question, because typically you'll find that something just starts to open up. Why is it true beyond being creative or not creative, I am? Like people have this word creative or not creative, and they're like seeing this belief, I'm creative or not creative. But what if you were beyond the creative or not creative, even the word creative or not creative? What if you like the word had nothing to do with your identity and you were actually beyond the word? Why is it true that beyond being blocked or not blocked, I am? Like when the moments when you're blocked or you're not blocked, noticing that you're not really the block, but you're the one who's experiencing the block. And when the block is gone, I still am here. Why is it true that beyond any story of being stuck, I am? Why is it true beyond successful or not successful, I am? Why is it true that beyond any belief, concept, or idea, I am? Even as all belief concepts, even as you believed you were 10 once and now you're no longer 10, you move to a new idea. You're beyond the belief. You're beyond the concept or idea. The idea and concept has nothing to do with who you are or your identity or anything else like that. Why is it true that beyond any and all sensory experience, I am? And why is it true that beyond change or no change, I am? So those are a few examples. And you can start to use these patterns and these ways of phrasing things if there is something specific for you that you're looking to get beyond and you're looking to meditate on to like begin opening up. You could create a statement for yourself that's specific to you and your situation about with the thing that you're stuck on. And you can start to ask yourself that question and meditate and go into peripheral expanded vision and start to dissolve the duality that there's change or not change. Because the truth is only change exists, right? Like not change does not exist. There's no such thing as not changing. Change is the absolute reality that exists. Um, and there's a lot of philosophy that goes into that. Even not creative. Not creative is a non-descriptive. You don't know what not creative is. You can't see not creative. You can't really experience not creative. You can experience other things, but when you describe something as what it's not, it really produces a polarized piece of information and has nothing to do with being creative. So yeah, those are some good stuff. So what are the stories that you would like to go beyond? So, and these are some just different ideas. Like there are stories that some people have. I don't have enough time. I have no time. Is there a time construct that you need to go beyond? Is there I'm not creative story that you need to go beyond? I'm stuck. I'm blocked. I'm not consistent. I'm not worthy. I don't have it in me. I play small. Or I'm not an author. Like for people that haven't taken on the full identity of being an author, they can get into places where they feel fake because they're operating from I'm not an author, and that's where you start to get the false persona, and then you start to feel like a fake, and that kind of stuff. Are there some stories around that? Is there anything around okay, what is it? Yeah. Okay. Wow. And we only had 1 hour, right? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So so I do have the rest of these slides. I can totally get you guys the rest of these slides. This actually went way longer than I expected and I planned. And I have a lot more content, so I apologize. Um, let's open it up to any questions. Are there any questions as we're going through this? So, and if you guys ever want me to come back and do this again, I would totally be more than happy to do anything for anybody and totally go through the rest of it because there's more content and there's more stuff. And I didn't even get to take you through like the full process of you guys actually journaling and writing stuff out. So it's totally up to you if you enjoyed this and if this was worth it for you. So let's just open up to any questions, comments, anything up to this point. If you got any learnings, anything has come into your awareness like up to this point. You're picking up what I'm putting down, so to speak.
Wonderful. Deb said, wow, I'm an emotional mess. And Elaine said, I love the mindset shift. Ben said, thanks, Forrest. And I have to say that I'm writing stories all this time about my fictional world, but I should really be rewriting the story about myself and that I am strong enough to publish my fiction. And it's just amazing. My mindset, absolutely, yes. I rewrite my own personal internal monologue. Amazing. Such a brilliant, yes. And please do come back for us. Yes, please. Yeah.
It's an important
I've
one.
got a
Your own,
recording.
yeah. Your author story is really important, and getting to that space of rewriting your author story or digging into your author story and your hero story and how you step into being the hero is huge. It's huge.
So Sarah said this was super beneficial for me. I would love to see the remaining slides and maybe join a future session for the full experience. Absolutely. Pippa said, thanks, Forrest. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to using the word author and how it creates imposter syndrome. Absolutely. And Keely said, I have a lot of experience with meditation, therapy, EMDR, etc. I'm wondering how to get here to there for inspiration.
Yeah. And where are you trying to get from here to there on specifically for inspiration? So, like how to use this process to actually welcome in higher the more creative flows. Is that what you're asking? Yeah. So I'll go off of that unless I see something else. So this step one would be dissolving any current blocks, like anything that's on the plate for you unconsciously. The first step would be dissolving any of that. And it just helps offload from your nervous system so you make space and you make room before you step into a creative flow, which is why I teach it this way. So it offloads from the nervous system. Then when you actually go into this state and you actually close your eyes, I teach meditations on the light. I teach meditations in like grounding metaphors in the forest. I teach going into characters, going into characters going into your world and creating your book, stepping into your actual author persona and developing your author persona from the space that you've already completed it and it's already done, and all the things that you had to went through, including all of your trials, tribulations, all the mental and emotional things you had to resolve, like everything that had to be resolved along the way so it's real for you, where you integrate all of that, and that helps create some really powerful creative flows. It helps create some really powerful stuff.
That's exactly what Keely was asking about. She said, yes, thank you. And then Lo Macy said, many thanks for this session. Can't wait to keep exploring these practices with lots of love hearts. So brilliant. Thank you so much, Forrest. And that's us on the hour. That was absolutely mind-blowingly brilliant. And see you all very, very soon. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.